Ology, the study of or the discipline. We use the suffix ology almost every single day, but do we actually know what it means? My name is Anika Rose, and today in the Origin of Words, we're going to get into it. When I made my etymology video, I briefly talked about the etymology of etymology, and thus ology. The suffix ology means the study of. So etymology, looking at the roots, literally means the study of the sense of truth. But today I want to get more into it and talk about the difference between logy, ology, and the difference between words like theology and eulogy, even though they have the same root stem. Learning suffixes is so important for learning English and getting a better grasp of our language. You can even correctly create words in English if you know these little parts of speech, these little morphemes. So buckle up, it's about to get nerdy. I know most of you know what ology means, but let's get into the etymology. Ooh, another ology. Shall we? There are so many ology words in English, and I obviously can't get into when each of these words was invented in English, but here's a few common ones. Biology, theology, beerology, eulogy, physiology. Its root is in the Greek lego, the verb I saw, I speak, I tell a story. Let's go ahead and get nerdy and define some terms. A thematic vowel is any vowel found at the end of a stem of a word. In this case, it would be O in ology. Not all logy words in English have this thematic vowel. There is the L rule. If that study ends with an L, then that O is dropped. For example, mammalogy would just be mammalogy, the ology of ology. Ology is also a word, and so is logy in English. Ology or logy is a morpheme. A morpheme is the smallest meaningful unit in a language. It is not necessarily the same as a word. A morpheme does not always stand alone, like a word does. A word, by definition, does stand alone. For example, cat would be a one morpheme word. Cats would be a two morpheme word because you have cat and s, and the s changes the meaning. It's a meaningful unit, but you can't use it alone. Logy is also a morpheme. It can't be used alone, but it does have meaning. It changes that meaning. Logy is also an affix. An affix is something that is added to a word. An affix is something that expresses an idea. In this case, we have a suffix, logy, because it's at the end of the word. So we do need to know what a verbal noun or a gerund noun is, because that's where ology comes from. A gerund is a verb that functions as a noun in a sentence. Here are some examples. Ology comes from the verbal noun logos in Greek. Now, getting into the etymology, logy in English comes directly from the French logi and the Latin logia. Ultimately, it comes from ancient Greek logia, which is also a root and a stem. Ia is a suffix. Logos is the gerund, which means a narrative, a story, an explanation. Logo is the original word. It is a verb that means I speak, I tell a story, I converse. All of these words likely came from, you guessed it, Proto-Indo-European. The root is leg, which likely meant to collect, to gather, but could also have meant to speak or to gather words. Logy first came to English in the 16th century from the French and Latin influences. The O is thematic in Greek because the root always ends in O. It's the combining vowel for all declensions in Greek. If that doesn't mean anything to you, it's okay. Let me know in the comments below if you want me to do a video about Greek declensions, but I feel like it's a little too nerdy for our purposes. By the 18th century in English, we were creating our own words with this suffix ology and logy to describe things that we studied. And by the 19th century, we were using it for nonce words, words that we only used on one occasion, like common senseology or beerology. There are different senses of logy when we use it in English. Both can be traced back to the Greek logos. We have logy as in the study of, the discipline, such as the case for theology, for example, the study of God, or biology, the study of living things. We also have logy, which comes from the same root in words like eulogy, trilogy. And in this sense, it's more about the logos, about the words, about the storytelling. Philology is an exception in that it's close to eulogy and trilogy because it's literally the love of words, but what we actually use it for is more like the first sense in that it is the study of. Sometimes logy is used to describe the subject or the discipline and not just the study of that subject. For example, in technology, or we often use that in pathology. We're not studying it. It just is. And yes, etymology is the history of the origins of words. Literally, the study of the true sense. What is your favorite ology word? It could be a nonce word, it could be a made-up word, or it could be one of these many ology words in English. Let me know in the comments down below. If you want to see more suffix videos, also let me know. Thanks everyone. Bye!